Hello and welcome to Visit Paul Daily. I'm really pleased you're here and thank you so much for coming to see me today. Today is Thursday the 29th of September and it's a bit chillier today. As you can see, I've got a jumper on. It has been a bit chilly all day and it's still the same this evening. So we've got a thing in England, us Brits, we can't put the heating on if it's not October. It's still September. So even though it's a bit chilly, we'd rather put a thicker jumper on and then put the heating on. I don't know what it is. It's an old-fashioned thing that we grew up with, but it's a couple of days that we're into October, so perhaps the central heating's going to go on again if it continues like this. Now, yesterday I've had a great feedback from a lot of people yesterday. Today, I say, based on yesterday's section I covered, which I covered about being involved in a certain network marketing company where Evel Knievel was actually part of the company. He was involved in the company and had a product. And I did say on the heading of yesterday's video how I overcome my nerves in front of Evel Knievel. And the first thing I need to do is apologize because I actually didn't cover that section. I got so wrapped up in some of my little notes. I was reading my notes, but as I read some of the notes and I started to go through what I wanted to talk to you about, other things came to mind and I think, I've forgotten about that. Let me put that in. And you'll find that happens as you go along, as you progress in your future public speaking endeavours, careers, whatever happens from this moment onwards. And I forgot to actually nail the very thing that I wanted to put that title together. So in the description underneath the video, if you're watching that video from yesterday and you click on the YouTube version of the video, rather than just watch it on Facebook or other places where I've posted it, and click the YouTube version, underneath the video you'll see a text description. In that text description I have actually outlined what it was that helped calm me down and allowed me to carry on with that performance without any nerves. But I'm going to repeat that today, what that is, and I do apologise for leaving that bit out. It was very, very important bit to cover, and there'll be people who got to the end of that video going, well, what was it then that Paul did that calmed him down when he's looking down at Evel Knievel 20 feet in front of you? So I'll tell you exactly what it is, and it's something very, very simple. And you've heard of the phrase when you're talking to an audience, and if you're new talking to an audience, just imagine the audience are all naked. Have some of you heard that? Well, I didn't do that. I had a very big audience there, and that would have been some mental picture, wouldn't it? But no, it wasn't that at all. Because in that particular seminar, I could only see really the front row that was lit up because the lights were on the stage, the lights were on me and the other speakers. So it was limited, but I could see, the people involved in the company, the main people behind the company, the other speakers sitting there waiting for their turn, and clearly Evel Knievel. Now, when there's like an A-list celebrity sitting in front of you, I've actually had that several times because I've met lots of famous people in my life. I don't know how or why, it's just happened, and I've got on with all of them. They're lovely people, and when you realise after a while they're just people. They're very good at their craft. They're good actors. They're good environmentalists and everything. Like when I used to show for Sir David Attenborough around for a while. He was a beautiful man, and I need to see him again before he gets any older now. He's approaching 95. So I'd like to pop down to Richmond and go and see him again and just, have a good catch up. But you realise these people they're special people in what they do and they're good at what they do. But after you get past the celebrity and after you realise that they're good at their job, and that's basically what it is, it's a job for them, as well as a vocation, I should say. They're just ordinary people like you and me, and they want the same things as you and I do. But what I had to do that day, I had to look down at Evel Knievel and I had to visualise somebody else, someone else who was friendly, someone else who wasn't going to scare me, someone else who would probably look up at me thinking, you're doing good, boy, So that person was my dad. I visualised when I looked down at Evel Knievel that I was looking at my dad. Because if you do that, and if you think about someone who's got a friendly face, who you feel comfortable about and around, and that's going to make all the difference. So that simple little switch from looking down, looking at an A-list, I was looking down and I just visualised my dad. Unfortunately, my dad had passed away by that time. I wish he was there. I'd love him to have seen what happened that day. From this young lad who didn't really go to school. When he went to school, he didn't learn a lot. And I learned everything after school when I came away from school. But I remember taking my dad down to Southampton once. No, sorry, Littlehampton once for a group down there. I mentioned that company called L'arome Echoes Perfume, and I had quite a good group down there. They were a smashing bunch down there. And it was going to be a presentation, but it was going to be a training session after the presentation when everyone else had gone home. And they wanted that because everyone was limited on time. They said, look, would you mind staying later in the evening? If you want to stay, we'll happily put you up. And I said, no, that won't be a problem. I'm only about 2.5, 3 hours away. And I went down there and I took my dad. And I think that was the only event he ever came with me to look at. And my dad sort of sat at the back of the room. It was quite a nice hall where we initially went. And he sat at the back. And I thought, this feels quite weird. But I focused on him and he's, I'm looking at that kind face and he knows me. And I knew some of the audience there, but I didn't know all of them. So it was kind of a little bit of a comfort for me to have that. And it was quite strange that at the end of it, he sort of said, that was good, boy. And my dad was from Newcastle. That was good, boy. How did you learn all that stuff? You didn't go to school. You didn't do any of that at school. And I said, I know, but I've just picked it up since, and I thoroughly enjoy it. He said, I can see that. And he said, oh, by the way, just in case you didn't notice, all the people sitting here today were taking notes. I said, oh, that's great. He said, perhaps that's something you should have done when you were at school. Yeah, probably is, Dad, But that was a lovely time. So I was comfortable when he was with me in Littlehampton at that small event. So on that big event, I thought, what can I do to combat my nerves? Because even though I've been speaking a long time to many, many people and lots of occasions, it was quite daunting because that was a bit of a special guest we had that day, and your heart rate goes up. I didn't want to mess it up. So I just saw my dad. So that's what it was that I missed out last night, and I really apologise for that. But that was it, So when it's your time to do something like that, and you're thinking, all these people I'm looking at here, it could be a bunch of people on the first, second or third row that you may be talking to in the future. Just visualize them as your family. That's your brother, sister, your mum, your cousins. That's Uncle Bill, Doris at the back. And visualize them at that, and then you'll soon see that your shoulders will drop and you'll actually calm down. It's a simple little trick. Somebody told me that, and I can't remember who it was now, but I remembered that. I thought, well, that's actually quite simple. And he said, isn't it always the things that are simple that work? So that does work. But what we're going to cover today, and we're not going to be a long one today, is how do you value your time? We're all busy people. People are so busy now. What we've done is we've traded effectiveness for busyness. And we're all really busy doing something. We're busier now than the last 3 generations of people in our families. And yet back then, everyone seemed to work years ago, seemed to work really, really hard, very long hours, had very little sleep, very little home life. But we're actually busier than 3 generations ago, which sounds absolutely ridiculous. So we're all busy, but we're not effective. And the idea in life and business and whatever you're going to do part-time, you need to be effective. Have you heard of the 80-20 rule? Most of you probably have. 80% of the people produce 20% of the results, and 20% of people produce 80% of the results. You've heard that? And that's how it is in jobs, business, life. That's just the way it is, the 80-20 rule. And it's always been that way, and it will continue to be that way for whatever reason. Now, how do you value your time? Have you ever asked yourself that? How do you value your time? We're all rushing around and things. So hang on a second, this person's got me doing this, this and this. They ring up, they expect me to drop what I'm doing at the drop of a hat because they need something doing. And we do it because we want to be helpful. Well, there's one thing being helpful and there's other thing being put on. You have to value your time because I bet that person values theirs. So if you look at the 80-20 rule, how many people would actually admit today, looking at this video, are you one of the 80% that does 20% of the results, or are you one of the 20% who actually produces 80% of the results out there? You get stuff done. Very few people will actually admit to being part of the 80%. They know they are, they know they don't get a lot done, and they let things slide because they let people keep them busy and they get distracted. So this is what I think about time. You can take my suit off me, I go and buy another one. Okay. You can take my car away from me, I can go and get another one. You can take my house off me, I can go and get another one. But if you take away my time from me, that is irreplaceable. What you're taking from me is irreplaceable. And a lot of people don't realise, it sounds, well, actually, oh, that's a bit deep. Well, it is. You can take all these other things away from people in life. Most things are replaceable. But if someone takes away your time, I'm talking to you today, this is about helping you. I'm still working on myself, and I'm always working on my time, and I'm working on all kinds of things. And you've got to try and, get back into it, get back in. We get distracted, got to get back in. But if someone takes away your time, what they are doing is taking away your personal time that's now irreplaceable. We've got to learn how to manage our time. So what do? We go into money management. We learn about money management, and we're managing our own money all the time. If you look at the news that's happening at the moment, I don't look at a lot of news, to be honest with you, because it's all repeated. It's repeated more than songs on Radio 1. But it's not good news, is it? But at the moment, everyone's waiting for October the 1st because they just know their bills are going to go up. So everyone's waiting for an increase and a decrease in their life and their lifestyles. So it's going to worry them. And they're going to say, what can I do? One of the things you can do is manage your time better. So it's okay managing your money. We're good at doing that. We all manage our money. And then we're also good at repairing our homes. A lot of people say, well, I won't pay for someone to do that. I'll do it myself. So some of your time goes into DIY. Well, I can do that. I wish I was good at DIY. I'm not. I really do. I see people. I've got someone in the family that's absolutely superb. Phil is amazing what he builds outside his house. And like a full outside garden entertainment centre. It's got a hot tub in it. It's got a lounge area. It's got a kitchen area, a barbecue area. And I recently went round to, it's my nieces, and I recently went round to my nieces and I took some photographs of this and I posted them on Facebook later on. And I said, we had a lovely weekend with the barbecue and everything. And one of my friends, Paul, said, God, that looks amazing. Is that a hotel or is it a house? And now they have a large house. But the way the garden was structured and the way it looked and the way it was all lit up with Phil's DIY skills made it absolutely fantastic. They've just put the house on the market at the moment. They're looking for somewhere else, maybe a little further north. And I don't think they're going to have a problem selling that house at all because of his skills. So we get good at money management. We learn how to manage our money. We get better at repairing our homes. And the next thing is people spend time on their bodies. They go to the gym, they go running, they find cycling to work is better than driving to work. So they're finding time to do these things. But when do you find time for you? When do you actually sit down and say, I'm going to have a little bit of meditation for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to actually get a little notebook and I'm going to start prioritising my time. I'm going to put little sections in somewhere to give me more time. So I think that's very important for us to look at and to do that. But everything except our time, we focus on. But it's going to take time for you to become a speaker, to learn public speaking, whether it's on a large scale, small scale, or just being confident at work. I just want to learn to speak better, or to learn how to speak so I don't get embarrassed at work when I get asked these questions. Some people just say, I'd love to learn how to speak because I'd like to be a coach. I'd like to go in there. There are courses that people can join and pay for to become a coach, on certain subjects that they're very good about. But learning public speaking is so beneficial. It's one of the best skills that you can possibly attain for yourself, that you can actually be self-taught. It's something you can do bit by bit in the hours you've got available, because it will increase your confidence. It will most certainly increase your income, and it will open doors for you that before were closed. I mean, if you look at job interviews, if you go to a job interview, you have to prepare for that interview. Sometimes you have to wait for a second interview. You got on okay at the first interview, but they're not quite sure. Now, what was that interviewer not sure about the interviewee? You. Well, they're not quite sure. If you're coming into a position where you might have to manage 3 or 4 people, are you going to be able to manage those 3 or 4 people in that role, in that appointment? Because you're going to have to speak to those people, and you're possibly going to have to listen to those people's concerns and things to resolve issues. So if you get better at learning how to speak and not being shy and embarrassed about it, and just go into it and say, well, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do this in a simpler form. And the only thing I can suggest for you is do it the way I do it. It's like a chat. It's like I'm having a conversation with one person. There could be 7 people in front of me that I'm talking to. I'm actually only talking to one person. The rest are listening, I know they are, but I'm focused on one person. And if that person hasn't got a friendly face, if that person hasn't got a friendly demeanour, I then visualise someone else that I'm looking at, like I did with my dad when I was looking at Evel Knievel. So it's a fact that people in home-based businesses always make more money if they're speakers, if they can do a presentation, and and they will earn more because they want to earn more. And there's an old saying, readers are leaders. What you read, Jim Rohn used to say, the book you miss won't help you. Ignorance is not bliss. And it's very, very true. But we need to work harder on our time because it gives us more time for our families and especially our kids. And that was one of the huge mistakes I made several years ago when I started this. When it was harder to do what I now find easy. I wish it was like it was now, back then, because it would have been a lot easier. It's going to be so much easier for you in the future to learn how to public speak. I'm going to show you a much simpler way of doing it, far easier than what mine did. But the way I was taught and the way I had to learn took up an awful lot of my time, a tremendous amount of my time, which is not good, and it did affect our family. Now, with my girls, when they were little, they used to want daddy time. Everything was individual. One wanted to go out with me on my own, and the other one wants to go out with me on my own. And we're coming up towards November. November the 5th was bonfire night in the UK, what they call Guy Fawkes night. And I used to have to take them out individually. So I would take one of my daughters out first. We would go to a fire display somewhere that we knew was around Peterborough, and we'd go and watch fireworks and things. And I was conscious of the time because I had to drop one of them back home because they'd had time with me, and we got drinks and we got stuff and we had a nice time. And then I got to take my other daughter back to the same place or a different place or that's having longer fireworks or a bigger display, so I could fit them both in the evening. But they just wanted daddy time. They just wanted their own time, which is lovely. I love that, and it's quite unusual at the time. People say, what, didn't you take them together? I said, I think we've gone together now and again, but most of the time they want to come out on their own. And that's good. I like that. That's quite nice. But now they've grown up and they're adults, they still like daddy time. And I think that's lovely. When I lived in Spain a while ago, they arranged to come out and see me in Spain. I hadn't seen where I was living. So my youngest daughter came out 3 days before my eldest daughter. So I had 3 days with her, just her and me, up and down the beach, doing stuff, seeing where I was living, asking questions, meeting my friends. And then on the 4th day, my other daughter flew over from Dublin to Spain, and we were all together. So I got both daughters together for another 3 days. And then on the end of the 3rd day, my youngest daughter, who arrived first, flew back to England. And then I got my eldest daughter for another 3 days. So for me, it was like a lovely long week where I saw both of them individually, which was lovely. So I had individual time with both of them, and I love that because you get to chat. You don't always get to chat when the whole family's there. But then in the middle of that, we had time together, and it was just lovely seeing them being sisters on the beach. And one of them, I'm not going to say which one it is because I've been told by my daughter. I've been told off for talking about them on my video, so I'm not naming him anymore. It's my youngest daughter and my eldest daughter. They want a quiet life, and they know I've got a busy life. But that's okay. I love them to bits, and I'm sure they'll forgive me one day. But in that middle section, we went on the beach, and one of them buried the other person with just the neck hanging out the sand. Like we took a picture of that. But it was just for me stepping back, watching my daughters just have a real nice time being sisters because they didn't live near each other anymore. So it was a good visit. I'm talking about now years versus visits. And I'm talking about this years versus visits like it's something new. But it isn't really new, is it? Because Jim Rohn taught me this back in 1988 when he sat with me and said, as you get older, and I was young then, but as you get older, you'll realise you can't live in years. We don't know how many we've got, but you've got to live in visits. You've got to live in a moment. Wherever you are, be there. If you're on the beach, don't wish you were at work. If you're at work, don't wish you're on the beach because you're at work. Book your holiday, go do it. But that lovely time that I had for the first 3 days, and then the middle 3 days with the two of them, and then the last 3 days was just fabulous. I just loved that. So, but with kids, they don't really want every minute with you, you know? And because, especially when they get to a certain age, they want to see you, but they want to go and do their own thing as well. So kids don't want every minute with you, but what they really want is they want you in the minutes that you've got with them. Okay? So kids don't want you every minute of the day, but what they do want is they want you in the minutes that you have with them, because we don't always see them. You know, they're on loan. We don't, you know, they're not ours. We don't own them. We have them. We have the pleasure of them until they grow up, and then they want to go and leave. And we go, why would you want to leave? What have we done? You know, but they want to leave. They got to experiment in their own lives. So, you know, they want our time. So this is a little nudge for us, a little reminder. Find the time to spend with your kids and your family and your friends. That's important. I'm fortunate for me, on the 10th of November coming up, both my daughters are coming to stay with me here and to see my new house, see where I'm living now, because they're not quite sure where it is I am. And we're going to have 3 days together. So I do get them together, not individually. But I've actually taken some holiday off work. I've already organised that, and that's already booked, which is lovely. So I'm going to have 3 days uninterrupted, no telephone, no internet, no laptop. We can watch Netflix, we can watch movies, we can have duvet days, we're having popcorn. But whatever it is they want to do, my time is allocated for them, because they've made time to come and see me. One lives in Norfolk, one lives in Dublin. But the eldest one is coming over from Ireland to see her sister, see her friends, and then they're coming to me for 3 days. I just can't wait. So, you know, that's the sort of thing that we've got to look on. You know, we need to work on our time. So what time are you going to give yourself, thinking about this session that we've had this week, what time are you going to give yourself to learn how to public speak in your own time? Because it does take some time. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it can take some time. So tomorrow is Friday, and you'll be glad to know this is the day. Okay, this is the day I will be covering what I feel is going to be a simple way for you to start to learn how to speak in public. Okay, this will gain, certainly without question, the way I'm going to suggest it, it's going to give you more confidence without you having red ears, red face, red neck like I used to, without you feeling awkward. You're going to have more confidence. You will be able to do this alone, which is great. You can start this alone. You don't have to be with anybody else. You don't have to say, you need to help me on this. No. The way I'm going to suggest you learn this with me is going to be on your own to start with, okay? I will also suggest some of the ideas of some of the subjects you can talk about. Now, you've probably got your own ideas. Oh, I wouldn't mind talking about that because I know about that. I know about this and I know about that. So perhaps that's something I could talk about for 8, 10, 12 minutes, you know, and do that. So I'm going to show you a very simple way. And I'm also going to cover some of the things I say that you can talk about, but I'm also going to be on hand. So if you start this process of my simple method of learning how to public speak, and you say, well, I've got that far, what do you suggest I do now? Or what do you think I do to change that? Because at the moment, I'm not feeling comfortable like that. Or at the moment, that was really easy. Now what do you want? Now what can I do? Because that was easy. And I will be at hand. You can email me on incomedriven@gmail.com, and I will answer you, and we will arrange a time, because you could be somewhere else around the world, and obviously time thing is different. I mean, I was on an Australian webinar today. It was 11:30 my time, but it was 10 p.m. their time, you know, so time differences, you know, so I want to work around that. But I don't want you to just feel you've come on here, you've spent this time with me, and I really thank you for your visits. And you've come on here to find out how to public speak made easy, and I've just said, these are my suggestions, you go do it. I would rather say, let's go do it. So if you feel that you need some help with it, I'm going to be here to help you. And once I've shown you my simple method, my simple solution, you're going to say, is that it? Is that it? Oh, yes, I did say, this is public speaking made easy, not made difficult. Okay? So I want it to be easy for you. I want it to be fun for you, because anything in life that isn't fun, you stop doing it. And I just think this is something that you can take with you for many years to come. Once you've learnt it, it's a little bit like learning to drive, you know. But if you can learn how to speak confidently in front of people and learn how to listen with people. If you take, for instance, if some incident happens and there's police officers there, if you watch those police officers, what do? Initially, they will ask you, they will ask questions. They want to know, well, which car was here first, what happened there, who hit who, and what have you. And then they would take each driver, if it was a road traffic accident, for instance, they would take each driver aside separately, and they will ask you, tell me in your own words what you think happened here today. So they're also good speakers because they want to find out what's going on, but they're also good listeners. They want to find out, what's your version of events? How do you think this is? So this is going to be valuable to you in future business opportunities or at work or whatever it is, because you want someone, if you've got a home business opportunity, to come and join you. But sometimes you need to say to them, it isn't all about the money with you, is it? And they go, no, it's not. We're okay for money. We've got nice cars, you can see, nice house, whatever. Why are you doing this then? Oh, we want to give back. We want stuff to do. Do you know what? I'm a little bit bored. I've got things to do, and I think this could be fun. Some people want to do things because they can contribute and be of service and be an asset to other people. Other people want to do it because they've got no fun in their life. They want fun. You can't even say fun without smiling. It's fun, So I want you to know that tomorrow is going to be real simple. I'm going to cover it, what my method, what I feel and suggest. It's not hard stone. It's not a blueprint. It's what I feel can be really easy for you to get started. But once you get started, you're not on your own. If you need any other help from me, let's get in touch. We'll have a video call like we're having today. We'll have a visit, you and I. We'll have a chat, okay? And it'll be like a chat. So what I'd like to do now, we're under 30 minutes. How about that? See, I don't always take a long time. So what I'd like to do now is to thank you very, very much for your visit to me today, for coming on here and having a listen to how you value in your time. How do you value your time? I valued your time again tonight. I apologise for last night, but I thought about that. I thought, I can't take that length of time to get my point across. I need to have another day at it. So tonight we're going to end it a lot sooner, less than 30 minutes, which is good. But I got my point across. Time is valuable. People are valuable. Give them the courtesy to show up on time. If you're going somewhere, don't be late, be early, and show up. It shows immense respect for that other person, that you value their time because you weren't late. I'd rather go early, even at the airport. I'd rather be early, have a cup of tea, something to eat, and wait 2 hours for the flight than rush there and wondering, am I going to miss it? So thank you so much for your time today. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe and press the notification button. And then when I make any other videos, I'm covering so many different subjects now. But tomorrow's the last one. We've covered it all this week about how to do public speaking an easy way, made easy for you. So there's going to be something completely different next week. And you go, oh, that's different. But it might be of interest to you. So thank you for doing that. Now, I have touched on years versus visits. So, we haven't got years, right? We haven't got, I don't know, we could have 20, 30 years. You might live longer than me, who knows? I hope I've got another 20, 30 years to go. It'd be lovely to get into my 90s. That'd be a hoot, wouldn't it? And still doing this, maybe, who knows? Still having a little chat. But after you finish with this video call, when you've had a visit with me, you can guarantee one thing. I can't promise you years. I can't promise me years. But I can promise another visit tomorrow. So I'm going to see you tomorrow. When you come off this one today, think about who you can visit now. It could be morning, afternoon, could be evening where you are. But wouldn't it be nice just to go through your list and not waste so much time on Facebook? We waste a lot of time on Facebook. We waste time scrolling through messages to see, has anyone messaged us? If they have, message them back with a little recording like I've shown you. Press that little microphone button and leave something different. Be different, be spontaneous. But when people realise that what you're doing and what you're now entering into and saying, do you know what, I'm going to give this public speaking made easy a go, because it will change you from average to being significant. Remember I spoke earlier on about being significant? And what does significant really mean? It means you are great value to other people, great service to other people. You're probably someone they can trust, and they're going to want to work with you. They're going to want to be around you. So who do we want to be around? Nice people. I just want to meet nice people, be around nice people. So thinking over the next few minutes, who could you have a video call with today, and who could you make their day? Trust me, it'll make their day, because who else is going to give them a video call today? You are, because you're a nice person. So thanks very much for seeing me, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.